So, good afternoon, everybody. I am delighted to be welcoming you this afternoon to the LIFELANGS project. This is the launch of the new LIFELANGS project, a new living observatory of shared languages and identities on the island of Ireland. My name is Sally Reynolds, and I'm really delighted to be your moderator this afternoon and to take you through this session to introduce you to the project and to everybody who's involved. As you may already know, this is an exciting research project dedicated to studying the languages and identities shared across different communities in Ireland, and it's very much a collaborative project. It's being led by a team of multidisciplinary researchers from Queen's University in Belfast and from Trinity College in Dublin, and you're going to get to know all of them during our session this afternoon. So during the webinar, we're going to run this webinar for about an hour. We're going to have an opportunity later on for some questions and some discussion and to get some input from some of the people who are joining us this afternoon. And in particular, we really would like to welcome everybody, but in particular the external partners that are joining for the project and joining for the session this afternoon. Couple of house rules. If you could, please keep your mute, your audio throughout the session. We'd love you to put on your video because it's lovely to see people and to see who's joining us this afternoon. And as you can see, we are also joined, and I really would like to say thank you to our two sign language interpreters for this afternoon's session. So thank you all very much for joining us, and thank you for making all of this possible this afternoon. So without too much further ado, we're going to get started with the content of the session this afternoon. And so it's my very great pleasure to introduce you to the first of the two co-principal investigators for the project, and that's Professor Lorna Carson. Lorna is Professor in Applied Linguistics in the School of Linguistics, Speech and Communication Sciences at Trinity College in Dublin. So Lorna, you're going to get us started. Over to you.
Thanks very much, Sally. Oh, good afternoon, everyone. So thank you for joining us today. I'm one of the two co-researchers leading this project along with my colleague Aisling O'Boyle from Queen's. As Sally mentioned, I'm a professor in applied linguistics here in Trinity College. I'm originally from Ballymena in County Antrim, and I moved to Dublin some 30 years ago when I came to college here. And the project is very special to me because of the north-south connections. So I'm going to spend just a few minutes talking to you about why we are all here this afternoon and why we are undertaking this particular project. So I think Abdul is going to share some slides for us. Firstly, as a team, we responded a year ago to an expression of interest, a research call from the Irish government's North-South Research Programme. And in August this year, we were thrilled to receive the good news that we were awarded just over €3.7 million in funding by the North-South Research Programme as a new emerging hub of excellence. And the North-South Research Programme is a collaborative scheme that's funded through the government's Shared Island Fund, and it's being administered by the Higher Education Authority on behalf of the Department of Further and Higher Education, Research, Innovation and Science. And we are very grateful to them for the transformational funding that we have received. So, no matter what you call where you live on this island, we all live on a shared island. Some facts. Did you know that more than 200 different languages are used by people on this island on a daily basis? And did you know that more than 100 of these languages are spoken or signed on a daily basis by at least 500 people? And in schools north and south, dozens of different languages are spoken by pupils. In some schools, more than 50 different home languages are spoken by the children and their families. And also, about 50,000 people use Irish Sign Language or British Sign Language on a daily basis. As well as deaf signers, this number includes CODAs, children of deaf adults, family members, colleagues, teachers, interpreters, and many more individuals from across many professions. However, we also know that on this shared island, there are many serious challenges. And although the accents that we hear and we see around us are unique and fundamental to our lives, There can also be a lot of regret and grief around language. That might be due sometimes to communication barriers and obstacles, intergenerational language loss, where children don't or can't learn the children of their parents or grandparents, or a feeling of loss in terms of the link between language and our culture and our heritage. And in societies like ours, where more than one language is spoken, often a two-tier society develops, where some ways of speaking are valued and others are not. Some ways of speaking are even scorned or ridiculed. Prestigious accents and languages are an advantage. Other accents, dialects, and languages are definitely not an advantage. And often you can just follow the money to see what is really valued in a society. An us-them phenomenon is common. We see something that researchers call othering, the act of perceiving and treating a person or group as fundamentally different from your own group. This leads to discrimination, the exclusion of marginalized groups, and deep feelings for many people of being less than, not a full or valued member of society. And ultimately, this all leads to division, intolerance, hatred, political polarization, violence, and war. Many of you in this webinar know exactly what this zero-sum game looks like on the island of Ireland. And so, for these reasons, our goal in this project is to help build a more inclusive and stronger future for all. We're responding to the fact that people across Ireland and Northern Ireland have expressed a desire for a more inclusive society, and they would like help in knowing how to build shared dialogues, how to promote understanding between different cultures, how to support better language learning and understanding of the role of languages in society, and how to ensure that all individuals are valued and that they feel that they're full members of society. And a little later, you'll hear how we plan to do that. And I'll pass you back now to our moderator, Sally. And Sally, you're on mute.
Hi. My apologies. Sorry about that. Thank you, Lorna. That is a really good and interesting introduction for the why of this project, the purpose, what this project is all about. But now let's get started with some of the people who are working on the project. So it's my great pleasure, and we're going to do this really quickly, although we will bear in mind the interpreters as well and try to make it as intelligible as possible. But we're going to start with each of a small group of the first four researchers who are working on this project. So let me start with Sultan Turkan. Sultan, can you start? Thanks.
Hello, everyone. Delighted that you all are here today with us. I'm Sultan Türkan, Senior Lecturer in Bilingual Education at Queen's University, Belfast. My work specializes in culturally and linguistically relevant teaching and teacher education for bilinguals in mainstream classrooms. And with that, I practice the paradigm of language as resource, not only in my research, but also in our MSc TESOL and Applied Linguistics program to the extent possible at Queen's, where I have recently served as a program director. And prior to joining to Queen's from the United States, my research was concerned with issues around valid and fair assessment and teaching practices for bilinguals and their teachers in mainstream content classrooms. And again, delighted that you all are here with us today. Thank you.
Thanks, Sultan. Colin Flynn, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Sally. Thank you, Sultan. Díomh Cháirde, is Misha Colleen O'Flynn, agus Tama Ma Olukunta, Leshin Tangolia Daimach, Iglashin Trinoja. Hello, everyone. My name is Colin Flynn, and I'm an assistant professor in applied linguistics at Trinity College, Dublin. Much of my research to date has focused on investigating general issues in applied linguistics and multilingualism. For example, learner attitude and motivation, language identity, and language teaching methods, but in the specific case of Irish and other minority languages. Prior to joining Trinity, I worked in the School of Irish at Dublin City University, where I was also Deputy Director of the Shallavoo Research Centre. Shallavoo means acquisition in Irish. I'm originally from New York, but I've now lived more than half my life in Ireland. And alongside Irish and English, I also speak Portuguese on a daily basis. So I'm so happy to see you all here, and I look forward to engaging with everyone as the project progresses. Thank you.
Good market, Colin. Thank you very much. Okay, then going to Ian Collin. Hello, Ian.
Thank you very much, Sally. Hello, everyone. I'm Ian Collin, and I'm from Lurgan in County Armagh, where I attended school. My first degree was in French and German, and my very first teaching role was as an English language assistant on behalf of the British Council in 2 schools in Germany. I then worked in Paris for a while and then became a secondary school teacher of French and German in Ballyclare, during which time I completed my master's and doctorate part-time here at Queen's. In fact, I studied part-time for almost 12 years after my initial degree, so you could say that I was the eternal student. I loved being a school teacher, and I will return to it at some point in the future. I really do think that sharing that passion for language learning is so important for a whole host of reasons, and never more so than in the times we live in today. Since 2015, I have led the PGCE, similar to the Professional Masters in Education in Ireland, in modern languages at Queen's University Belfast, a role which allows me to blend teaching and scholarship. I am currently Director of Postgraduate Taught Studies and a member of the Senior Management Team in the University's School of Social Sciences, Education and Social Work. Since 2019, I have been Principal Investigator on the British Council commissioned Language Trends series, and I'm looking forward to writing the inaugural British Council Ireland Language Trends report in 2026. With LIFELANGS, I am very much looking forward to being the co-lead on Strand 4, and I look forward to researching and creating bespoke resources to help languages in all senses of the word to thrive on our island. Thank you.
Thanks, Ian. Thank you so much. Brona Katibuzik, welcome.
Thank you, Sally. Hello, everyone. My name is Brona Chatabusic, and I'm an assistant professor in applied linguistics in Trinity College, Dublin. I work on inclusive approaches to linguistic and cultural diversity, and my research focuses on language learning in contexts of migration and particularly situations of forced displacement. As well as my academic work, I've been actively involved in engagement with new communities in Ireland since the arrival of refugees from Bosnia in the early 1990s. I coordinate a programme of language and intercultural support for people from refugee backgrounds through the University of Sanctuary initiative in Trinity. And I'm passionate about language learning as a means of sharing, welcome, and mutual learning at any stage in our unpredictable and often challenging life journeys. This is so important at a time when we must cherish our common humanity and nurture intercultural connections, ideas which link to the heart of the LIFELANGS project. Thank you. Chwala Puno, Gurmaki.
Thanks, Brona. With passion and with all of the team today, you'll hear lots and lots of passion. But before we introduce the next group of people working on the project to you, I'm going to hand back to Lorna, who's going to talk a little bit more about the where of the project. Lorna.
Thank you very much, Sally. So for the next few minutes, I'd like to talk to you about where this project is taking place. On the screen, you will see an amazing photograph. It was taken by the European Space Agency, Sentinel-1A satellite, and it's described as a multi-temporal colour composite of land coverage across the island. And it was stitched together from 16 radar scans by the satellite sweeping over Ireland in May 2015. And it gives us an idea of the place we live. Different colours show changes that occurred in those 12 days. So the blues on the map, you can see Lough Neagh, for example, show the changes in bodies of water and agricultural activities such as ploughing. And the yellows represent urban centres, with Belfast and Dublin, for example, very clearly visible. And another really interesting feature is the many yellow spots scattered through the entire island. And these yellow spots show farmhouses. So if you zoom in on the European Space Agency version of this image, you'll see the farmhouses from satellite view. And vegetated fields and forests appear in green. And the reds and the oranges represent unchanging features such as bare soil or rocks. And you see that around the west coast of Ireland. Isn't that amazing? And the European Space Agency, I discovered, call this image an Irish mosaic. And the question we pose is, what if we could create this kind of map to show all the ways that we speak and express ourselves across our island? The changes and the connections in language, to show all of our communities, big and small, and all of their languages, to be able to zoom in on them the way you can zoom in on the farmhouses in this image. What would we see? All of the community language schools, all of the Saturdays and Sundays schools, adults learning a sign language, or French, or Mandarin, or Swahili after work, Irish colleges in the Gaeltacht, people trying to remember how their grandparents called certain things, all the deaf and hearing signers, all the codas, children of deaf adults, Irish classes in East Belfast, speakers from where we come from, Aisling and myself, trying to make sure that the unique expressiveness of Ulster Scots doesn't disappear. Speakers who mix their Arabic and their Irish English in remarkably expressive ways in their daily conversations. All of the multiple gorgeous accents of people from Tralee to Coleraine and from Lochray to Gorey. What if we had a map with yellow spots that marks communities of Portuguese and Polish speakers, Urdu speakers and Efik speakers? And what if we could understand the transmission of languages across generations and show growth of new language learners in blue spots? What if we could see expanding areas as visible as Belfast and Dublin on the map, where awareness of language is valued and not feared or scorned? What if we could see all the ways in which we inhabit this Ireland together? To reference the work of the late Manchán Magan, our words tie us to each other, to the essence of ourselves, and to where we live. It's so much easier to capture bodies of water and rocks by satellite. To understand the languages and identities of communities around Ireland, we need people instead of satellites to collect information. And so this living observatory, our team, will be setting out to record as much data and evidence as we possibly can on all of the languages and identities, east and west, north and south, across all counties. And in 4 years' time, we will be back with a new mosaic image to show you. And so this is the where of our project, and I'll hand you back to Sally once again. Thank you.
Thanks, Lorna, for such a rich tapestry indeed. And the team, of course, who are so fundamental. Let's move on and meet the next members of the team. So I'm delighted to welcome Mel Engman. Mel.
Jadeve, hello, my name is Mel Ingman and I'm a senior lecturer in education and applied linguistics at Queen's University Belfast. I'm from the United States, and before I came to Queen's, I worked with Ojibwe language educators and activists. We conducted research and developed bilingual materials and land-based curriculum for learners in urban areas and in Ojibwe country, which are Indigenous lands around the Great Lakes region of North America. Though I do not identify as Indigenous, my settler ancestors came to the US from Europe, I am very interested in supporting people's access to learn and use their minoritized Indigenous, and heritage languages wherever they wish. I also spend a lot of time working with young bilingual refugees and asylum seekers to Belfast who are struggling to access education in their new home. And my current research explores the role of language in belonging and how language might mediate human relationships with the natural world. I am thrilled to be able to contribute to the LIFELANGS project.
Thank you so much, Mel. Moving on then to Laura Dunn. Laura?
Hi, my name is Laura Dunn. I'm originally from Dundalk, County Louth. I am a reader at Queen's University, Belfast. I'm a developmental psychologist by background, and my research interests lie in three main areas: child wellbeing in educational settings, early child health and development, and programme development and evaluation. Depending on the research questions to be tackled, I use a range of qualitative and quantitative methods. I've worked extensively in low and middle income countries with a focus on early childhood development and peace building. More locally, I am Deputy Director of the Innovation Zones in Belfast. Through this initiative, we work together with local communities to find out what works in terms of addressing challenges they face and improving outcomes for children, families, and the community as a whole. Over the next 5 years, I'll be leading a project on drivers of school and subject refusal as part of the Administrative Research Data Network Northern Ireland. I'm really looking forward to working together with everybody. Gurmagov.
Thank you very much, Laura. Okay, then we would like to meet then Kathleen McTiernan. Kathleen.
Thanks, Sally. Hello, my name is Kathleen McTiernan, and I'm a chartered psychologist and an assistant professor in psychology at Trinity College Dublin. I'm originally from the United States, and I've lived in Ireland since my early 20s. All of my research to date has focused on the intersections between languages, culture, identity, and well-being. For example, one of my research projects, the Life Histories Archive, thematically structured a collection of stories taken from 24 autobiographies of women and men from Dublin and Belfast. Some of my other research projects recently have explored minority languages across Europe and cultural learning in the context of additional language learning. I'm delighted to be part of the LIFELANGS project as a co-lead of Stream 3, People, Places and Purposes. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathleen. Thank you very much. And now Abdullah Karakin. Abdullah.
Yes, thank you, Sally. Hi, everybody. Hello and welcome all. Thank you all for joining us today. I am Abdullah Karakin and I'm the project manager. My background is in translation. So I came to Ireland 2 years ago to do my master's in translation technology. And I decided to stay here to pursue my career. I'm also an English teacher, and I taught English to international students here at Trinity for over a year now. And I think that explains my fascination with language research and also my excitement about this particular research. A quick note, I will be handling the project socials, so make sure to follow for any updates. I'm looking forward to working with my amazing team, and thank you very much.
Thanks, Abdullah. It really is an amazing team. Thank you so much. We're now going to introduce you to the second of the co-principal investigators, and that's Dr. Aisling O'Boyle. Aisling is reader in the School of Social Sciences, Education and Social Work, Queen's University in Belfast. And she's going to take us into the nitty-gritty, some of the what, some of the how of the project. So Aisling, over to you.
Thanks very much. Hello, yes, my name is Aisling O'Boyle. I'm delighted to be with you here today. Just a little bit about who I am, as Sally has mentioned. Over the last 25 years or so, I have been teaching and researching in the area of TESOL and language education in both local and in international contexts. I am, like most of my colleagues here, particularly interested in how people use language and languages and the contexts in which they use them. I'm also very interested in the socially embedded issues that go alongside and in fact are integral to language learning, such as gender equality, such as access, and things like community language education. Also, I feel I have to say this, that with a name like Aisling and O'Boyle, I feel somehow destined to be on this project, or it has destined to find me, some one of the two. Thank you very much for your patience with me as I introduce myself. What will LIFELANGS, a living observatory of shared languages and identities on this island, what are we going to do? What will we do? Well, we will be documenting the many and rich linguistic and cultural diversities of the communities who we know live on this island. We will be analysing how particular features of identities intersect with various dimensions, such as age, such as gender, such as class, health, disability, sexuality, race, religion, and ethnicity, and many other ways in which we communicate our identities. We also will be having a focus on understanding better how speakers and communities learn, use language, and be they spoken and signed, and how they use those in different contexts, both informal contexts, non-formal contexts, and formal contexts. And as this happens throughout our lives, from the age of 2 months to the age of 102. At the same time, we will also be using what we find to develop evidence-based tools and resources for language learning and for intercultural awareness. We see these as essential for fostering greater understanding and better cooperation on this lovely island on which we live. If I could ask you to, thank you, brilliant. How will we do this? So that's what we're going to do, but how are we actually going to do this? To help us communicate how we are going to do this, we produced this project visual. It is representative for us of our inclusive and dialogic approach to understanding the many multiple ways that language and language are used and learnt across the island. And we hope that this represents and recognises the importance of multiple expertise and different knowledges, and it prioritises knowledge creation with, by, and for the people who live on this piece of rock together. As you see here, and you heard colleagues talk about different research streams, and this is how we have organised our work. We've organised our work into different research streams, and you can see here on the right of your image, they are language riches, lived identities, people, places and purposes, and shared resources. Each one of those reflects one of our project objectives. The LIFELANGS Living Observatory of Shared Languages and Identities on this island will gather examples or ways in which language and languages are used and being used on this island. We will do this through the construction of different kinds of data. And as you see here, this is represented by the hexagonal shapes, somewhat of a nod to the wonderful rocks that we have on the Causeway Coast here in the north. We will be looking at collecting surveys, data from surveys, data through linguistic landscapes, through building multilingual corpora. And we will be doing that through a series of workshops, roadshows, and interviews. A really crucial part of how we are going to achieve this living observatory is working with our partners and our enablers. You can see that on the bottom right of your screen. From this list, you will be able to, I hope that you see that we will be working with our local partners and communities. So these are community partners in different organisations. They are teaching colleges, advocacy groups, cross-border agencies, museums, and many, many more. And together, we hope that we will be able to create our living observatory in ways that are transformative and participatory. We will also focus on how people of all ages learn and use languages, both spoken and signed, throughout their lives in places like schools and workplaces and all those places that I mentioned, museums and whatnot. And so by partnering with local groups, we will be able to collect data that reflects the needs and experiences of all our people who live on this island, including those who are sometimes overlooked, either are difficult to reach socially, politically, or even geographically. As you will see from our shared outputs, which is on the bottom left-hand side, we want our outputs to be shareable, and we want the work that we do together to create tools for teaching and learning about languages and about cultural and intercultural awareness. We want these tools, and we want the design of these tools and the reality of these tools to be able to help people connect better with one another, leading, we really hope, to a more inclusive and shared society where we have opportunities to understand ourselves and each other much better. To give you some examples of what we will be producing in terms of outputs, these resources are going to be open access publications, and they will be in very different formats in terms of digital e-zines, for example, through exhibitions which people can visit and explore, through online platforms, and through, we hope, wonderful teaching and learning materials. It is through these different resources and artifacts that we will be able to show how languages are used and learnt across this island, and we dearly hope that they will be contributing to a much better picture for Northern Ireland and East of Ireland and West of Ireland and Northeast of Ireland, all of the places. And we hope that this better picture, whichever way it happens, whether we breathe this picture, sing this picture, dance this picture, paint this picture, in whatever way that we do this, we want this to be a really lovely, inclusive picture which shows a different island, which reflects all of us. Thank you. I'll pass you back to Sally.
Thank you so much, Aisling. What a wonderful description of all of the work to be done in the next 4 years in this very ambitious project. So it's my great pleasure to introduce you, in fact, to the final members of the team who will be busy with this work. And I'm going to start with Maria Dimitropoulou, who's going to be the first person to introduce herself of this group. Maria, over to you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maria, and I'm a postdoctoral research fellow on the LIFELANGS project. I'm originally from Thessaloniki in Greece, and I first came to Ireland in 2017 to do my MPhil in Applied Linguistics at Trinity College Dublin. Trinity and Ireland very quickly felt like home, so I was grateful to come back for my PhD, which I completed very recently, and they somehow decided to keep me around. My research focused on Irish-speaking families, and one theme that really stood out was belonging, how people connect with their language, their families, their communities, and how these connections are influenced by broader social and structural factors. Belonging is central to LIFELANGS, so I'm very happy to be part of this project, and I'm looking forward to working with both the team and the different communities. Thank you.
Thanks, Maria. And before moving on to our next team member, I just want to remind everybody, if you have questions, if you'd like any issues that you'd like to raise with the team, please put them into the chat and we'll be happy to put them to the group in a few moments. So please use the chat if you have any questions or comments you'd like to make on the project. And now I'd like to introduce you to Agnieszka Pedrag. Agnieszka.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. My name is Agnieszka Pędrak. Most people call me Aga. I'm originally from Poland. I hold a PhD in Applied Linguistics from Trinity College Dublin, and my research focuses on language and identity in the context of migration. I study how children in migrant families grow up with more than one language, and how language learning at home, in school, and in the community shapes their sense of who they are. My doctoral research focused on Polish families in Ireland and the role of Saturday schools in supporting the transmission of the heritage language and culture. I'm also a Polish language teacher and a mother, so I care deeply about connecting research with families, school, communities. I'm delighted to be part of the LIFELANGS team and to contribute to this inspiring collaborative project. Thank you. Dziękuję.
Thanks, Agnieszka. And then I'd like to introduce you to Antoine Rogers. Antoine?
Hi, I'm Anton Rogers, and I'll be a postdoctoral researcher on this project. For many years, I lived in Turkey, where I worked as an English language teacher and academic skills instructor. I did a master's in linguistics and eventually moved back to Ireland to do a PhD. My PhD looked at intonation in Derry City English, basically at the melodies of the spoken language. My family are originally from the Donegal Guildtart, but I grew up in North Armagh. So between my family, my overseas life and work, I've spent my whole life living in a bilingual or multilingual environment. Research-wise, I'm interested in the sound of language and linguistic variation, particularly of Irish English. I'm also keen to collect and analyse real-life samples of all the languages used across the island, so I'm especially looking forward to working on the LIFELANGS project.
Thanks, Antoine. Thank you so much. What an incredibly international and transnational group of researchers this is. So now I'd like to introduce you to Jane Duff. Jane.
We'll just be playing the video from Jane now.
Thank you so much.
Sorry, I'm having a problem with the video. I'll just turn it on in a minute. Sorry.
No problem. We also have a video from the final member of the team who we're going to hear from today, Teresa Lynch. Is that one good to go, do you think, Abdullah?
I just lost both of them. I'm going to just retrieve both of them right now. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. We can always come back to them in a few moments because you just let me know when they're ready to go, because it would be great to meet the final two members of the team this afternoon, and they have gone to all the trouble, of course, to make the recordings as well too. So we want to make sure that everybody meets them. So we have a few minutes for questions, for discussion. If any of our audience would like to ask anything of the presenters, particularly of the two co-principal investigators about the project. So please feel free to put any questions into the chat. And I'm just checking at the moment. So far, I see just comments about the recording. So let me put a question to all of you, because I find it really interesting, the fact that this project is also very much about community and very much about figuring out what's going on and working with community groups. And I'd love to ask you how you're planning on doing that, because it sounds good in theory, but just in practice, what are your plans in reaching out to communities and working with them? Anyone like to pick me up on this?
Hi, yes, thanks, Sally. Thank you very much. Working with communities is really crucial for this project, and it was one of the things that we really enjoyed about putting our application together, was that we engaged with a number of external partners who believed in what we were doing and were able to say, yes, if you are successful, we will very happy. We'll be very happy to participate with you and work with you on this project. So how we plan to work with communities is through our external partners, both in relation to the advisory capacity that they can offer us, but also in relation to the networks that they have, so that we can really stretch out and really connect with as many people on the island as we can. One of the other aspects that we've built into the project is around taking community workshops. So rather than people coming to universities to participate in research, we are very interested in going to different communities to help to help us to collect the kind of data that we would like. And I suppose the other feature is about the road shows. So we want people to stay engaged with this 4-year project, and so we'll be conducting road shows around Ireland. I don't think it's on a bike or with a fridge as others have done before, but it might be with a book or two or a recording instrument of some sort, but we also plan to do that. So for us, in a nutshell, community engagement is really, really important for us. Of course, should anyone be interested in connecting with us, Abdullah has our wonderful social media resources and our website of how to contact us as well.
Indeed. I think it'd be good to post, in fact, the social media channels or some of the links to them into the chat so people can pick them up from you. So you do not intend to be a group of academics hiding behind walls. You're out there, and that's where you want to be. And we did promise we'd come back because we still would like to meet 2 of the further people from the team. So I believe Jane Duff is ready. The video of Jane Duff's ready to go. You could play it for us, Abdullah.
Hi everyone. My name is Jane Duff and I am a research fellow based in the Centre for Language Education Research in Queen's University, Belfast. I am absolutely delighted to be joining the LIFELANGS team as one of their research fellows on this very exciting new project. Previously, my PhD studies looked at 19th century French literature, and following this, I became a research assistant and then a research fellow on the Language Trends research series, which looked at the current situation for language education and teaching in primary and post-primary schools across the UK and Ireland. So I'm very excited for this new opportunity, and thank you very much for listening. Bye.
Thanks very much to Jane. And then the last member of the team that I'm delighted to introduce to everybody is Teresa Lynch. Teresa. Just waiting for the video to start, I think. Yes.
Hello, my name is Teresa Lynch. I'm deaf myself and a sign user, an Irish Sign Language or ISL user. I'm from Dublin, a proud Dub, and I am assistant professor at the Centre for Deaf Studies in Trinity College, Dublin, and I'm also a deaf interpreter across Ireland. Here in Trinity, I teach a number of different modules, such as ISL classes, as part of the 4-year degree programme through which students become interpreters or become involved in the deaf community or become ISL teachers. And I've been working here a long time. Then as a deaf interpreter, I'm proud of the fact that we set up the first formal deaf interpreter training, the first of its kind. I was very much involved with that. So we now have an increased pool of deaf interpreters qualified for a range of jobs. Let's see, I'm also involved with the National Deaf Women of Ireland organisation, and I was previously awarded Deaf Woman of the Year, so that's a little bit. I think that's probably enough about me.
Thanks very much, Teresa. So great to have met all of the team today, and thank you so much. I see some questions coming in the chat. So let's take them in the order they've come in so far. And you can see Lorna's been busy posting as well to the links for various social media channels for you to stay up to date with the project as it moves forward. Very straightforward question. Any opportunity for individuals to contribute, coming from Eugene McKendry, who describes himself as a retired but active academic? Lorna or Ashley, either of you like to take that? Lorna, see your mic's on.
I'll take that. Thank you very much, Eugene. Yes, so a living observatory works with many observers, and we would very much like to expand our network to have associate partners and to have really community membership. So if anyone would like to get in touch to be working side by side with us and to share their passion for the area, if anyone has time or interest, we really would welcome all contacts. So as you'll see, there's no real doors on our observatory there in the image. So we hope that will be maintained through the 4 years of the project. We really welcome collaborators of all stages of careers and all levels of interest. And if you're not an academic, we particularly welcome you. Don't feel that this is an academic project. We want people from all communities in Ireland to feel that they can just tell us what's going on and share their local network, their local information ideas with us. So all very welcome.
There's nothing more open than language, indeed, and it's great to see you take that approach. So thanks, Lorna, very much. Michael Cronin, let's put this one from your question to Aisling. Congratulations on this fascinating project, as you can all read. And he says, will translation and interpreting feature as research topics in the research?
Yes, I mean, that's really interesting. Thank you very much, Michael. Absolutely. It's part of what we have built into our project, in the way that value has to be recognised and languages have to be recognised, and certainly, absolutely, translation and interpreting is part of that. So yes, I suppose is the short answer. We're currently working through our streams, so that will feature throughout all of them. So yes, short answer. Yes. I don't know if any other colleagues want to come in and say anything different, but short answer, will translation interpreting feature? Yes.
Anyone from the team want to add anything on that? Shout now. Okay. Okay, then this next one is I love this description, is No Doors Project. The project from now on becomes
just
No Doors. Lorna?
I just saw that Margaret raised her hand.
Margaret, oh sorry, okay, I didn't see that. Margaret.
Apologies.
Go ahead, please, Margaret. Margaret? Is your mic on? Okay, sorry, we don't hear you. Your mic is still, I can see with the little icon, it's still on mute. If you'd like to
try again there, Margaret. I put allow mic.
Margaret, we'll come back to you. We'll come back to you. Okay, then Monica Freeband has a bit more complicated question, I suspect. There's a lot of talk about new language education policies being implemented in Ireland. Can the findings of this help guide any potential education policies across Ireland? So can this research be really used, I think, is the question. Who would like to take that?
Margaret, happy to take that, if you wish.
Margaret, we'll come back to you in a second. Hold on, we'll come back to you in a sec. Let's see if we get an answer to that question, first of all, about whether the findings can be applied in policies. Who's taking that for me?
I'm happy to take that on behalf of the team. So yes, definitely, we want this research to have real-world impact, and real-world impact means making a difference to people's lives, but also means making a difference through policy decisions that will be made into the future. We have a number of partners working alongside us on the project. Some of those are non-departmental government public bodies, and they are well positioned to help us to influence and to shape policy moving forward. So I think it is a really exciting time, and there's lots of new policies coming into play in education on both sides of the border, whether that's a real border or an imaginary border, but in both jurisdictions on the island, there's definitely a lot of scope for LIFELANGS to influence policy decisions.
Great, that's really good news and good to see the connection. Margaret, sorry, put you off twice now. What did you want to add? Please go ahead. Just need to enable your mic, I think.
Hi, yes. My name is Maggie Owens. Sorry, I was just waiting for you to click on my camera to enable me to switch it on. So sorry about the hassle there. So yes, I just wanted to say congratulations to the team of LIFELANGS for this new project. And myself, I'm working in the National Council for the National Curriculum. Sorry, bear with me a second. DCA, TSE. Sorry, bear with me a second. The interpreter,
no problem.
The interpreter is trying to get Maggie's attention and she can't see me. So I'm just going to have to. Can someone just get Margaret's attention? Apologies, she can't see me.
Okay, I'm not sure. Can I get her attention? Lorna. The technology is a way to go, I think.
Sorry. Margaret actually can't see the interpreter very, very well at all. The screen is very small for her. Can you see me now?
Tiny, I see, yeah.
Yeah. Can't you? I'm not able to expand myself on screen. Apologies.
Is it okay to stop sharing the
Margaret is
screen?
trying to maximize the size of the interpreter on screen, and
Indeed, stop sharing the central
yes,
slide.
if we could, yes, thank you.
Okay, that's a bit bigger. How's that?
Okay, so just bear with me a second.
No problem.
Sorry, I have to go back and repeat the question all over again. Apologies, it's no problem.
It's okay. Take your time.
Yes, please. Yeah. Okay, I have to go back to the very start with my question. Where was I? Okay, first of all, just to say congratulations to you all in the LIFELANGS project. Well done. It's very valuable of a project, I think, for looking at the linguistic future of the island. I'm working with the NCCA, the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, and I'm currently working on developing an ISL curriculum. And at the moment, I'm hugely interested in the area of how to actually go in depth with the, just bear with me a second, please, the trajectory of learning. And I would love to make some connections with this group in relation to my work. Apologies, the interpreter signal is breaking here. I can't see everything Maggie is signing.
No
I'm just
problem.
wondering if I can be involved in some way in the research, if there's any areas maybe that I can assist, or that maybe we can assist each other.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Maggie. And thanks for your patience with the system in terms of figuring out a way to make it work better. But maybe, Lorna, I don't know whether you or Aisling would like to respond directly on that.
Yeah, thank you very much, Maggie, for your question. And we would very much appreciate that connection. We're also interested in the trajectory of language learners and language users in Ireland. So if you drop us an email, and I'll just some of us will put the email address into the chat in a moment. Reach out to us and we'll be able to arrange a meeting. I think we share a common interest on the curriculum side of things and in learners' trajectories. So thanks very much.
Thanks, Lorna. Thank you very much. I see lots of great positive comments as well coming in from various different people here. People having also asking if they can see a recording of the session afterwards, and it will be made available, I know, as well as the slides. So you can rest assured about that. Just keep following the social media channels to make sure you stay in contact. And then we have very nice comments from Karen, for example, exciting project, well done, describing the kinds of work that she does. And I see people responding to the emails, and yes, and lots of comments about the recording. Don't see any further questions, but clearly a lot of interest and clearly a lot of connections that can be made from this project. I see a hand up as well from William Silky. Can we try and get William's question? William, would you like to put your question to the group? It's always fun, isn't it, with Teams? Go ahead,
William.
Lorna.
I've just I've enabled your mic, so you should be able to go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, we hear you. Fire ahead.
Very quick question regarding how you track the way language will evolve from family to family. So let's say we have an immigrant family whose parents speak Dari, but their daughters, maybe one is speaking Ukrainian because they transitioned through Ukraine or through Russia. And then into Ireland. And how I'm assuming there would be a longitudinal ethnography approach on sections or subsections, sublinguistic sections like that. Would that be appropriate, or am I just missing something? Sorry. Thank you.
I'll jump in, William, and then maybe Aisling can follow up. We don't have a longitudinal or ethnographic part of our project. Our 4 main instruments are related to surveys and to cross-sectional work in a corpus, a multilingual multimodal corpus. However, where we are gathering data is through people's stories and the stories that we capture from them. So we will rely on individuals to tell us their stories, and I think it's through that that we can capture essentially what's pseudo-longitudinal reflective work on where they began their journey, where they are now, and where they project themselves to be going. So we'll hear that firsthand, focusing really on that sort of plurilingual repertoire of what people use, the languages that people use in their daily lives, for what purposes, and there'll be a sociolinguistic angle looking at the different domains, especially in our corpus. So I hope that answers the question. If Aisling wants to jump in there, please do.
Yes, absolutely. It's a 4-year project, so we're having to use proxy methods for longitudinal aspects. The team are very wonderful. They're also very shy, and we have got amazing colleagues in this team who have conducted work in families, looking at language use across families, and also in the ways in which we can collect and reuse data from life stories and histories and her stories and all kinds of stories. So yes, really looking forward to doing that. As Lorna said, sort of pseudo proxy aspect of longitudinal data. It's really important for us. This is a project that is really looking towards a future for us on this island. We know we have to look back to see where we've been. We know we need to look where we are in order to move forward together as working towards a shared island. So really important for us. So thank you for your question.
Yeah, indeed. Thanks very much, William. Any further questions? Just pop them into the questions and answers. Maybe I think we all really can pick up the excitement of the team from the session this afternoon. When will your first outcomes be coming available, if I might ask? When can we start to see some public results that you'll be sharing? Aisling, maybe.
I mean, I'm giggling because that's technically we started 3 days ago. And I think that's okay. But I love that question because that's absolutely where we are. We have a very fancy Gantt chart that we are working to, and we have our sets of outcomes that we have, and that's absolutely crucial. We do not want this to be a kind of project that you hear from us now, and then 4 years later we'll produce, 5 articles and 2 books stuff. We want along the way, and that's where we're going to sort of be leaning on our artistic qualities around ways in which we can produce short newsletter outbursts for letting people know what we're doing, and also through our social media. So I suppose stay tuned for that.
Okay. And no doors, I think, is what applies throughout the project, always open. So thank you so much. I think we're going to close the webinar then, if that's okay with everybody. I don't see any burning questions. I hope everybody knows how to find out more and to stay in contact with the team. Get involved with the team if you'd like to. So really the only thing I'd just like to do is to thank everybody for joining us. I think we're going to put up a slide probably at the end with some contacts indeed, and lots of thank yous in different languages. And so thank you so much. Thanks Abdullah for all the help, for the technical help this afternoon as well. And of course to everybody who was involved, and particularly our interpreters, our sign language interpreters, for doing such a great job. And as Cormac says, I think we just need bigger screens in future for a better view of how things are. So thanks everybody. Anything final you wanted to add, Lorna or Aisling?
Yes, thank you, Sally. Thank you everyone for participating alongside us. We will have 2 in-person launches, one in Belfast and one in Trinity in Dublin in the new year in early January. So if you've subscribed to this mailing list, our mailing list, we'll drop you a line. If you've participated in this event, we'll also email all our participants. We will be putting the recording and the slides up on our website via YouTube as well. So thank you very much to everyone once again.
Okay, bye-bye. Enjoy the rest of the evening. It's too early to say Happy Christmas, so we won't just say it just yet. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.